The year was 1918. The Great War was almost over, but the fighting was still bloody and relentless. I was just one soldier among millions, a dispatch runner, serving near Marcoing. I had survived so much, only to find myself in a terrible spot, wounded and unable to defend myself. Then, he appeared, a British soldier. I learned later his name was Henry Tandy. He was standing right above me. I was a German, his enemy, and I was helpless. I expected the end right there. But when he saw how wounded I was, he did something unexpected. He didn't fire. He looked at me, maybe with a moment of pity or perhaps just exhaustion from the endless killing. He dropped his gun arm and let me be. I nodded my thanks, a strange exchange between enemies, and crawled away. I walked away from death that day. Decades passed, and I rose to lead Germany.
I've spent my time!
The memory of that moment near Marcoing, however, stayed with me. One day I saw a photograph of Tandy in a newspaper or a magazine. I recognized him at once. I told a British diplomat about it. I pointed to the photo and said that this was the man who had faced me on the battlefield and spared my life. Now historians look at this story and shake their heads. They say it's probably just a story we tell about the war, a myth, they call it. They say there is no solid proof, but I lived it. Whether it was fate, coincidence, or just one man's decision to be merciful that day, it meant everything. I believe I was spared because I had work to do. I was meant to survive to lead my nation to greatness. The Great War was a cruel teacher, and one of the cruelest lessons was the horror of gas attacks. The British Army used that terrible poison, chlorine and mustard gas, and it meant a slow, burning death if you were caught unprotected. To survive, we German soldiers had to wear gas masks. I remember the panic when the alarm was sounded, scrambling to pull the heavy mask over my face. But I had a problem. My mustache, which I had grown long and wide, a proper thick mustache that stretched to the sides of my mouth, would not let the mask seal. The edge of my large mustache went right past the rubber seal. Air would leak in. The mask was useless, and my life was in danger every time the gas cloud rolled over our trenches. It was a matter of survival. I had to cut it. I took the shears and trimmed it down, making it much smaller, just under my nose, so that the mask could finally fit tightly. It worked. The mask sealed and I was safe from the poison. When the war ended, the short style stayed with me. It became known as the toothbrush mustache. I grew used to it. As I began my political journey and spoke to the crowds, this trimmed, neat little mustache became part of who I was. It was a symbol of my service, a mark of the trenches, and soon it became my identity. People recognized me by it. A simple necessity born from a poison attack in the trenches became the face of a new Germany. That is how the most iconic feature of my face came to be. The worst moment of the war came in October 1918, near Ypres in Belgium. It was another one of the British attacks, but this time they used the horrific mustard gas. This poison was silent and cruel. I was caught in it. The gas burned my eyes and clawed at my lungs. The pain was blinding, literally. When they got me out, I could no longer see. Everything was darkness. I was completely blind for days, maybe even weeks. They moved me back to a field hospital. I believe it was the military hospital in Pacewalk, Germany. Lying there in the darkness, unable to see the world, I had nothing but my own thoughts. I spent months in that hospital, healing slowly. Gradually, my sight began to return, but the darkness had changed me. Lying there, helpless, I felt a new kind of clarity. It was in that bed, during those months of recovery, that the great truth came to me. I realized that my survival through all the horrors of the war, my sudden blindness, and my eventual recovery, all pointed to one thing: destiny. I understood that I had a mission for Germany. Our nation was broken, defeated, and humiliated. I saw my true purpose clearly. This feeling, this realization of my divine destiny, was born in the darkness of a hospital room. It was the moment my political life truly began. I knew then that I would not be a simple soldier anymore. I was saved to lead. I was born on April 20th, 1889, in a small town called Braunau am Inn. It was technically in Austria, yes, but it sat right on the border with Germany. That little stretch of land, Upper Austria, spoke only German, thought only German, and lived the German way. From the moment I could understand anything, I knew in my soul that I belonged to the German nation, not to the political mess next door. My dislike was for the large Austria-Hungary Empire. It was a weak, confused place, a jumble of different peoples, Hungarians, Slavs, Czechs, and others. I saw it as impure. The German identity, which should have been strong and proud, was being diluted and lost within this multi-ethnic chaos. Even when I lived in Vienna, I watched the bureaucrats and the elite, and many of them were not Germans. This only deepened my resentment and alienation. In my heart, the true home was Germany. That was where the power, the unity, and the genuine German blood and pride lived. I took inspiration from the heroes of German history, from Bismarck and Frederick the Great. They showed what a strong, united German people could achieve. So, when the call to war came in 1914, the choice was simple. I did not join the Austrian army. I walked straight across the border and volunteered for the German army. I was ready to fight and die for the nation I loved. It was my deepest conviction, a truth I spoke often. I am not an Austrian. I am a German. After the great defeat of 1918, I stayed in the German army, though my duties had changed. I was working as an intelligence agent. My job was to watch the little political groups popping up everywhere, especially those that spoke against the government, or those dangerous socialist movements. It was during this duty, in 1919, that I was sent to observe a tiny group called the German Workers' Party, DAP. When I walked into their meeting, there were barely a few dozen people. A very small gathering, but the words they spoke, the nationalist fervor, and the strong anti-Semitic ideas hit me immediately. They were speaking the truths that I held in my own heart. I felt a connection, a purpose. I didn't wait long. In September 1919, I officially joined the party. From that moment, everything changed. I discovered my true gift, speech. When I spoke, people listened. My voice was suddenly powerful, and my ideas resonated with the desperate spirit of the German people. Quickly, I became the most important and influential man in that small room. We knew we needed to become a real force. So in 1920, my comrades and I changed the name of the party. We called it the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP, the Nazi Party for short. I gave it a new, powerful symbol, the swastika, and I set about transforming it. Through fierce propaganda and great mass rallies, I took that small workers' club and turned it into the only political movement that could save Germany. The path to power had begun.